I think we are. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to our Women's League Third Friday Power Hour. My name is Michelle Glover. I'm going to be the host today. So I'm serving as a guest host for our Power Hour in Keisha's absence. So, you know, we all love Keisha. She is the Beyonce of our Power Hour. So I hope I can do her justice by filling in today for Men's Month. So very excited to be the host because I get to be the host for Men's Month, which is super exciting. So as we are the Women's League of the Atlanta Black Chambers, and we are all about Black girl magic, we also celebrate our Black men, and we also
Michelle, I'm
celebrate.
getting the error message. I don't think we're live yet. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Let me just check it out on Facebook, and if we are, we will. Yeah, I don't think it is either. Hold on. I do not think it is live. That's okay. I wonder if I could stream it to if I can stream it to Facebook.
Okay, stand by. It looks like we're going live.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So welcome everyone to our Women's League Power Hour. It is Third Friday, and we love Third Friday because it's all about celebrating the amazing women of the Atlanta Black Chambers Women's League. So my name is Michelle Glover. I am the chair of the Women's League and today's host for our Power Hour. So you all know Keisha Cranen is the hostess with the mostest with our Power Hours. And as I call her, the Beyonce of our Power Hours. So I hope I do her justice by filling in as the guest host for today. And I have to admit, what better day or what better month to be the guest host for the Power Hour than June? Because June is Men's Month for the Atlanta Black Chambers. So while we're all about Black girl magic and celebrating our women, we also are just honored and love celebrating our men. So this is Men's Month, and we kicked off our morning call this morning where we had two of our guest speakers. We had Henry Caslin on the call this morning talking about the do's and don'ts in PR and how to leverage PR for marketing and business growth.
All right, Michelle, we are not live on Facebook.
Let's see. Oh, I should be live. And we had our surprise guest. We had Melvin Coleman on the call this morning, and he shared with us just some inspiring words to keep us going and finishing the year strong. So all in all, just a powerful Women's League monthly call. And guess what? We're going to keep that energy going for our Power Hour. So we may have some technical issues, but that's okay because we're going to keep this ball rolling. All right, so let's first say I talked to these men yesterday. I know both of them, but I talked to them yesterday in preparation for today. And I'm going to tell you now, this session is going to be powerful. So get ready to really be not only informed, but transformed by these male guests. So we have today Chris James, who is here with us. We have Paul Posey. And so what we've done is we've been doing this year. First, we'll kick off with some one-on-one interviews with our guests. So we'll start with Chris and then go to Paul. And then the second half of the conversation will be a panel discussion. So I have some questions queued up, but let me tell you, if you have questions, please, please, please put those in the chat and we'll make sure that we address those. So, and you all know that their information will be in the chat as well. So I want to kick it off with Chris. How are you doing today? Let's see.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. So glad to have you on our Power Hour this afternoon. Welcome. You know, it's always funny. I tease on Third Friday in June. I'm like, oh, we got bass on our call today. And same thing with our Power Hour. We got bass on our call on our Power Hour today. So first I want to kick us off before we go into your business stuff. As it's Men's Month and we're celebrating men, I want to know who is a Black man that has influenced your business journey?
Oh man, that's a good question. A Black man who has influenced my business journey. I would shout out one of my best friends, Ron Mack. He is a 20+ year art teacher, politician, community advocate. And also the manager of my art gallery that's based in Little Rock, Arkansas. We're in our 10th year. And yeah, he's been somebody that I've just been able to just watch and learn from and grow with over these last 15 years we've been in relationship.
Awesome. I love it. So shout out to him. So now I want to learn a little bit about your business and your journey. Can you tell us, like, how did you get to where you are?
Yeah. Backstory is I started out as this spoken word artist rock star, right? I've traveled the country as a spoken word artist and speaker for over a decade, from the United States Capitol to TED Talk stages to college universities, all that you can imagine. I used to compete nationally with a poetry team, and we ranked #2 in the world's largest poetry slam competition back in the day in 2014. But that transitioned to, again, poetry, to me becoming a playwright, to me becoming a screenwriter, to me then providing workshops and via my business, Creative Connections, where we provide arts and education programming in schools across the country, with an emphasis on social emotional learning. That turned into us providing programming that focus on mental wellness via the program that is most popular through my organization right now, Black Boys Better, where we provide mental health education for Black boys across the state of Georgia. And so yeah, so I guess in short, that's my business journey. Again, I'm a certified anger management specialist, a mental health first aid instructor, and that's the work that I've been doing through my individual work and my organization's work.
Wow. I mean, there are so many gems that you shared, and I want to pick up a couple of them because one of the things you said was, being a spoken word artist and doing these TED Talks. And a lot of people say, "Ooh, I see these TED Talks. I want to do that." Can you give us some tips or advice on, like, how to become that powerful TEDx speaker?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, the first TED Talk I did in 2016, it was a result of me being so active in the community, right? I was active, right? Again, by that time, I was a top-ranking spoken word artist in the world. I was the owner of a poetry venue and art gallery in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I was just this, I promoted myself as the six-figure creative, right? And I coached artists on how to do it. Like, hey, if you're a creative, you have a creative idea, come to me and let me teach you how to do it too. And I always had big ideas. And because of that, when TEDx and the TEDx program came to Arkansas in 2016, I was invited to do it, right? So it was a result of me doing the work, right? And I was that visible. And then the second round, when I became a second time TEDx speaker, I actually applied for the opportunity, right? And with the application of, because any TED Talk that's happening or TEDx programming that's happening in the country, you can apply for them most times. Sometimes they program them and they find who they want, but you can simply apply for them if you have a great idea that you believe can contribute to change in the world. And that's what happened for me. So yeah.
Wow. Again, I love that, changing the world, but you said something that I think sometimes we gloss over. Is you said, "I did the work." You really planted the seeds and you did the work and you cultivated the relationships in the community to be invited the first time. And then the second time you did the work because you applied and were seen. And you said, the great ideas that change the world. Can you give us some, like, examples? Because people say, "I want to talk about," and they're really niched and want to talk about that one thing that's really just promoting your business, but not changing the world. Can you give us some, like, how do you, even think of a topic for a TED Talk?
Yeah. So realistically, right, there was this Apple commercial that came out in like the 1990s, very early on, right? And the commercial said that people who are crazy enough to believe that they can change the world are usually the ones that do, right? And when I heard that years ago, I attached that to my beingness, right? everything I do, I approach it as if it's so crazy and so big of an idea that it can transform the world, right? And it scares me almost, right? So with the idea of, like, again, the big idea that I believe that can change the world, again, I always think about purpose-filled work, right? I made a Facebook post today, and it said, purposeful mindset is waking up and thinking, how can I make other people's life easier or better, right? And I think in essence, that's what entrepreneurship is, right? You identify a problem in the world, and then you identify the solution that you can uniquely present to the world, right? And that's what it is. Like, do you see a major problem in the world? Again, my last TED talk, I realized that the major problem was in 2023, almost 50,000 people died from suicide, compared to 24,000 people who died from homicides. But which do we hear about the most? Right? We hear about homicides more. Why? Right? So I saw that as a problem. Right? I saw that 80% of those 50,000 suicides were boys and men. Right? Boom. And I realized that there was a problem. Right? And I believed that I had a unique enough idea that can transform the world. And it wasn't about me. It wasn't about, how it can benefit me, but it was all about how can this in a major and a massive way serve people. And that's what I think about when I think about big ideas, especially if you want to present on a TED Talk stage or any major speaking platform.
There we go. I love it. I don't know if people saw me on the background every time you talk about, some of your accomplishments, accolades, but even as you talk about your passion and you said, it's not about me, it's about serving and supporting others. So my question for you is, that pivot that you had to move from this, you doing the spoken word, and then you pivoted to this mental health space. So can you tell us a little bit more about, how you made that pivot?
Yeah, great question, Michelle.
Right.
Yeah. So again, in the spoken word world, I started a nonprofit called the Roots Art Connection, now known as Creative Connection, in 2013, and we started out providing arts and education programming to schools across the state. And what those programs look like, we went into the schools and we taught young people how to creatively express themselves. Well, so when we came into the school, we were helping English departments to enhance the way they taught writing in English, right? But at that same time, we were teaching young people how to, number one, how to identify their emotional struggles. Number two, how to articulate it through writing. And then number three, how to express it out loud with their voices. So we realized that, again, we were approaching education or social emotional learning in a very creative way. So we were already doing what I would call healing work. And I was kind of doing it on accident, but still intentionally, right? And that allowed me to transition into, let's do more intentional work around mental wellness for young people, right? So we started doing that again. I got certified, as a certified anger management specialist, as a youth mental health first aid instructor, right? So I started learning the language. I wrote a book called Get Up, Get Out, and Get Some Healing, right? So I started becoming very, I guess, engulfed in this work as it related to helping Black folks heal. And so the transition was almost natural. It was like it had to happen. I wanted it to happen. And what you would hear from most mental health advocates or mental health professionals is that I got into the mental health space because I had my own healing journey too, right? Like when I got divorced in 2019, I literally didn't think I would survive that. When my mom's died a couple years later, I didn't think I would survive that. But when I did, right, because I had access to those mental health services, right, because I had access to information on what it looked like to begin and get through my healing process, after I got through that, for me, I had an obligation to help other Black folks around me to do the same, because most of us are drowning. I mean, literally drowning, right?
Yeah.
In our emotional struggles, because we don't have the skills to get out of the stressors, the darkness that we often exist in. So that's why the pivot happened for me, and that's how the pivot happened for me.
Oh, I mean, wow. I love that. And thank you for your transparency. And we'll talk more about that when we get to the panel discussion on that journey. But before we do that, you're also the chair of the Health and Wellness Committee of the Atlanta Black Chamber. So shout out to you for taking on that role. I know you've got some leadership supporting you, but you are the chair of that. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the things the Health and Wellness Committee is doing within the Atlanta Black Chambers?
Yeah, absolutely. Super excited. This is my first year being the chairman of the Health and Wellness Committee for the Atlanta Black Chambers. We're doing amazing things. Every month we have an event happening. We either do a Black Health Social Mixer where we have, well over 100 Black health and wellness professionals in the space networking with each other. We do that every other month. And then we also do an education event, right? Which brings up the event that's happening tomorrow, June 22nd, right? Which is our Men's Health Month event. And it's called the State of Black Men's Health Symposium. And it's an event where we will have a panel discussion on heart health, right? Chronic disease and nutrition, and mental health. All these things we believe contribute to the demise of Black men. So tomorrow we're going to have a very unique conversation. So with the Health and Wellness Committee, we're super big about number one, providing opportunities for Black health and wellness businesses and entrepreneurs to scale their businesses. And then number two, opportunities to provide education for people in the community.
This is awesome. I love it. I just want to give you just a shout out and kudos. So I didn't remember what month it was, maybe April or May. I met someone at an event, a woman in the healthcare profession. And I said, hey, you've got to attend this event. It's a social, it's happening. I think it was like the same day. And I'm like, you got to go. And she went and she thought it was amazing. She said the powerful connection she made, the energy in the room, and she's like ready to get plugged in. So kudos to your committee for, you said, this is your first year chairing it, but man, when I tell you, you hit the ground running, you hit the ground sprinting. I'm looking like, wow, y'all better do it. Let me use some of those best practices. So kudos to you and your team for all the great work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course. So that was just a tidbit that we heard from Chris James. Again, really good information that we're going to continue when we get to the panel part of our interview. But before we go there, we have the very powerful Paul Posey on the line. Hey, Paul, how are you today?
I am powerful. That's not going to change. Every day I wake up, I say I'm powerful. And what that means is I no longer need bad things to happen to me for me to be my greater self. I'm powerful. That's why I say
I love it. And I feel it every time you talk. And when you say that, I'm going to be honest, it even transformed, like once you say that, I'm like, yeah, I'm powerful too. Like it just transforms the energy from the onset of that conversation. So even if sometimes I'm like, and then I talk to Paul and he's like, I'm powerful. Like, yeah, me too. So I love it. So kind of want to go with that first question for you too. Tell us about a Black man who has been instrumental in your entrepreneurial journey.
Sadly, I don't have one.
It's not too late.
In short. Well, that's why I joined ABC. See, now, because I didn't have one in my start, when I came to ABC, I was already in my own business. But the purpose of coming, and which was recommended by my therapist, that I needed to join a group that would allow me to connect with other men at the level I seek to be at, it was just hands down the best move ever. So to come to ABC, and I have to say that I've connected at least 6 people since I've gotten there, especially when I first met Melvin. We spoke for like an hour and a half before I even told him I was going to be a part of the chamber. But it was his conversation that was really helpful to tell me what I'm going to get by being a part of ABC. So in the beginning, it was just me and a need to change my life. And then I progressed and just learned through YouTube. And there wasn't a lot of other photographers at my age who joins the game at my age who wants to be at the higher level. So
Yeah.
you surpass them, and it's like, where am I going to go next? And where you're going to go next is not be an island. Go
Yeah.
ahead and get amongst the other people, and then you can see how to grow and how to get tidbits and how to maneuver and what can you add to yourself, like minority certifications and disabled veteran certifications. Access. I just got my cage number, so I just yesterday, so I can
Yeah.
get government contracts. So that switch over to getting to a bigger pool
Yeah.
has really worked. So it's sad to say, but I'm self-motivating, and I
Yeah.
wasn't deterred that I was sitting by myself. I said, what can I do better, and how can I make this work?
And the beauty of it is, and I like that you said, the importance of community, right? And as you grow your community, we can always leverage our mentors and supporters. So those opportunities will come. But you knew that I needed that. And so we're so excited to have you part of the Atlanta Black Chambers to help you grow and boost your community. But I do want to talk about your journey. Tell us kind of how you got to where you are in your business.
Well, it starts with mental health. I retired from the Marine Corps back in 2009, and I didn't feel that I was right. I'm trying to maintain my family, trying to do things, end up getting a divorce in 2011, end up working at the VA. I'm jumping some time. I retired in 2009. By 2014, I've gone through 3 jobs. I worked at the CDC, Federal Highway Administration, and now 2014, I began working at the VA in the Homeless Veterans Program, and my mental health was deteriorating over time, well, without getting help. Even if you told people, I think I need some help, but they weren't grasping that, because sometimes when we have mental health issues and we can articulate, they don't put those two things together. I was able to articulate some things, and it says, well, you don't have a problem. But lo and behold, that untested, that untreated problem became a problem in the workplace, and I needed to seek something else. And so what I did was something happened, and I believe this: your turning points can come in at lightning, or it can come in a whisper. So something happened. And I spoke to this older gentleman. I was apologizing for what he saw, transpire. And he told me, you need help, and you need it right now. And I didn't go to the VA. I went to my family doctor, got my own therapist, and that was a turning point right there, because I wanted to be better than who I thought I was. And that started the journey, and started the writing of the books. I wrote 5 books, and I wrote 5 books in 2 months. Then I wrote 12 books in 8 months. And then subsequently, I wrote 3 more books after that. All those books helped me to unlock me, to heal me. And then I got to the point where, hey, I want to do these things. I want to be a speaker. And I believe that life is almost like a pinball effect. If you'll ding over here, but it'll knock you over there, and then it'll knock you over there. So I wrote the books, and then I wanted to be a speaker. So I got some photos. I didn't like the photos that he took. So I went over here and I became a photographer. And then I just grew from that. And later, in connections with some people from my hometown who runs a suicide prevention program, I become her photographer, and then I became a speaker for that group right there. And then I joined NAMI, right? And then she got me in a mental health first aiders class, so I got into there. You see how it just keeps going. And then another homegirl owned a publishing company, so now my books are in Walmart, Target, Books A Million, and Barnes and Noble, and it just keeps going. And that's the powerful piece is it's not, I stop having bad things to happen. And look at this, it just goes bam, 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 bam. And then for all that to come to play, that now my work is on the cover of a magazine, 3 magazines is on the cover of that, 5 billboards. I've shot I took photos, I didn't say shot. I took photos of the ambassador to the country of Estonia, a diplomat, and now I'm doing ABC work and over at the Rice Center. But all that stemmed from, I have to no longer be an island. I have to get out there. I have to make it happen. And that's what kind of brought me to where I'm at today. And so being a part of the mental health genre,
Mhm.
wanting to be selfless. I know I was able to do it, and I know
Yeah.
other men can do it also, because when I connect with them, sometimes the only thing in our way is ourselves.
Yeah.
The
And we're
majority
gonna
of
dig,
that. Mhm.
I'm gonna pause there because I want to talk more about that when we get to the panel, because I tell you,
Okay.
this is going to, this panel and this discussion, I just can't wait. But before we go there,
Okay.
and I know you do a lot in that space. And again, another person as he's speaking, I'm like, okay, I see you. So we were not playing with today's guest. But Paul, one of the things I love the ping pong. How you
Yes.
said these opportunities then led to this, which then I knew I needed this, so it led to this. And I mean, I think you probably are mastering the pivot. Um, but one of the things you do, the photography business, and I know
Yes.
that's opened opportunities for you. And a lot of people, with especially with today's technology, they're like, I don't need a headshot. I can just do this. And they get their phone out and they're like, here's my, my headshot. Tell us, the importance or the value of professional headshots.
It is a door opener. And when we're talking about professional, that means business. That means companies are not going for the AI look. First of all, they're still old school.
Okay,
So
one more time for the people in the back. I don't think
yes,
they heard. What did you
yes,
just say?
companies are old school. They're not going for the AI look. That's to me and to them is unprofessional. So there's still room out there, and it's a door opener. And for each area of your life, you should have a different look that goes with that. You can't always take your casual look and use it everywhere. So you need to be able to uh, articulate through visual, of what you're trying to say to your customer or to your client or whoever you come in contact with. I think right now there's at least 25 people on their LinkedIn that have my work. 25 people. And I think there's
Okay.
more, not to mention over 400 real estate agents have
Yeah.
my look. So, and it's the experience because I'm also in sales too. So in the conversations, they
Mhm.
get some gems from working with me also.
I love it. So I share when we do like our Women Crush Wednesdays, and we always ask for a professional headshot. And if it's like not professional, I have to send it back, because I'm like, if you say that you're operating in excellence and you want top dollar, you need to show that even in your branding. And that even starts with a headshot. So if you don't have a professional headshot, please, I know his information is in the chat. Please make sure you reach out to him to see what opportunities may wait for you in that space. So, and just a quick question on tips. If you had to give people just a few tips to help them prepare for that professional headshot, what are those tips?
Book me.
Well, there you go. Where's my little mic drop?
Yeah, just start right there. Just book me. Know the look you want before you go. Get your hair done the day before, not the day of.
Ooh,
That gives you an
okay.
opportunity to dress it up, because you come like that. If it's not the way you like it, you're not happy. That takes more time. Colors. Make sure the colors work for you, and enjoy the shoot. Get your mind right. Get your mind right, because I'm going to capture what you share. And sometimes there's been times I have to wait like 20 minutes, because if they come out of traffic and their mind's on the traffic, we have to wait and change their mindset so we can actually take great photos. So your clothing, what you want to portray. And if you don't have a particular look, I can find it for you, because I'm that good with you, or you can practice it.
I love it. I love it. So make sure, again, you go check out Paul's information in the chat if you are like, ooh, I need help. And I tell you, those pictures, they do tell. If you're stressed out, if you're frustrated, and you get those pictures back and you're like, why are my eyebrows all crunched up? But I know that you make people feel at ease just because that's the energy that you project out. And so for you, do you have any upcoming events or things that we need to know about that we can connect with you on?
Yes, let's talk about there's an event tomorrow. Well, there's a ABC event on the 24th. I'll be there for that. I think I'm capturing
Nice.
that. That would be at the
Mhm.
McPhail
Yeah.
Studio,
Mhm.
and I think it's Alpharetta. I think that's what,
Uh, Something Alpharetta Norcross, but it's
Peachtree
north. It is
City.
north.
No, it's in
Peachtree.
Peachtree City. Yeah.
Okay.
When it comes to mental health, On the 29th, I'll be with the city of Atlanta. They have a men's mental health day. I'll be a speaker for that event. I just did their Father's Day event. And on the August 10th, I'll have my own event. I finally got my own platform where we'll be talking about men's issues, and we're going to talk about the problems and the solutions. And we're going to go from ground zero to make sure that we are all on the same page, because sometimes when we get together and we have panels, we're very limited on what we share. We might share an issue, but really don't get to the problem. And after being on so many panels, I thought the next level would be is to create something that we can talk about it from ground zero and build on it. So it'll be in the month of August, September, October, November. We're going to skip December and go January, and then we're going to start over again. So that way we can have conversations and solutions and share our solutions across the board, so we're all on the same page. Because one of the things we're having right now is everybody's thinking different, and everybody's thinking from their lane, which is great. But imagine if we can all focus on some of the issues and we can implement problem solving skills at that level, we would be on to the greatest thing we need is more dads and more men in their roles, and they're happy in their roles, not suffering in their roles.
Ooh, I love it. And a great way to transition to our panel. So did I not tell you all you were in for a treat today? I'm just loving this conversation, and really kind of aligned with the movie, the Disney Pixar movie that just came out, Inside Out. So it's number 2 that came out. I love Disney Inside Out, the first one, when it talks about emotions and how to deal with emotions, and this one takes it to the next level. So I haven't seen it yet, but I will. But it's all about our mental health and managing and dealing with emotions. So right on time with just the conversation today, the movie that's coming out, and Black Men's Month. So we're going to transition to our gallery mode so I can see everybody. You can see everybody as we move into the panel discussion. And so the first question I have, I know we've been talking about it and the importance of, getting help. But sometimes people are like, maybe I'm just having a bad day. Like, when was that moment that you said, this is something I need to actually seek professional help on? And then how did you go about it?
Who's that, me
This
or?
is open, so whoever wants to kick us off, and let's kind of go deeper here.
Okay, I'll go first, Chris. You have an opportunity for a lot of turning points. And like I said earlier, it's either going to be a bolt of lightning where you're in a car accident, or you're being arrested, or something horrific has happened to you. That is a turning point. Or you can allow someone just to speak to you, speak into you, and that becomes a turning point. And that day, that was the turning point for me. I need help beyond myself, because if you see my shirt, it says negative to positive. My life was in a negative space, but I was at the 2 part. I wasn't creating more havoc for me, but I wasn't doing anything. And that's one of the worst places to be, because you can go left or you can go right. So in that particular incident, I can say that, speaking to that older gentleman, that was the beginning of a new me. And I allowed that to happen. And then I let it gathered more, and I gathered more, and then I gathered more. And then once I got to a certain level, I'm on the positive side. Now it's no longer about me. How can I get other people to make that transition at a lower cost, personal cost, to be on this side of being positive in their life?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it's so funny. I saw the negative to positive, the N2P, and I never really paid attention. And then I'm like, oh, there's a powerful meaning behind that. But a lot of people, you said, are at that 2, and that's a dangerous place to be, because you're not on either side. And sometimes we just float through life in that 2 space. So kudos to that gentleman who said, hey, you need, really professional support here. So Chris, how about you? Like, how did you know, okay, this is beyond just a phase or a moment. I actually need to seek professional help?
Yeah, thanks for that question. For me, again, I spoke about my divorce earlier, as it related to, I didn't know if I was going to survive that thing. You'll meet a lot of men who've gone through divorces, or gone through, just heavy transitions, maybe losing everything financially as it relates to a business move. And you will hear men talk about how they were suicidal, and that was real for me, in that space. And for me, that therapy journey began when I realized, man, I was about to lose a thing that I really desperately wanted. And I realized that I didn't have the skills on my own to not lose it. Right. So I said, hey, don't leave me. Let's go to therapy. But when I found out on that therapy journey that I was there for more than the maintaining of that relationship, which eventually, went the way that it did, fortunately too. And I realized, man, that I was depressed about my brothers being in prison when I was 16 till now, right? Actually, my brother comes home in 3 weeks, by the way, y'all. That's a celebration.
Yay!
But when I was 16, both of my brothers went to prison, got 25, 40-year sentence, prison sentences. When I was 16, I had a son, right? And so it was just a lot of things being processed. But when I first went to therapy at 25, right, I thought it was because of this relationship. But what I realized, it was because of a whole bunch of childhood trauma that I didn't have the ability to save myself from, and it was truly affecting how I showed up in the world, not only in my relationship, but how I showed up for myself, right? Like if you go to my Facebook after this, or my social media, or my website, I just want you to simply look at a picture of me from, let's say, just 5 years ago, right? You will see the difference. You will see my face is thinner now. You gonna see the little pudge in my stomach gone, right? And it was all a result of me literally taking that step to get that professional help, to have a deeper understanding of who I was and why I was. But yeah, that's what it was for me. I knew I needed it then.
Yeah, so make sure you follow him on social media and check him out. And, one of the things that I share with the Women's League, and I'm sure you all can attest to it, for the women, it's all about, being a strong Black woman, right? So you gotta advocate, you gotta be strong, you can't be vulnerable, you got this, suck it up, buttercup, whatever. And I feel like that same mentality is even for Black men. I don't think any other demographic has this kind of narrative that they have to be the strong da da da. Right? So you got to be strong Black men, figure it out, you got it. And in that space, sometimes people feel like I can't be vulnerable, I can't ask for help. Did you all have people that you shared your mental health journey with to kind of support you, or did you not and say, hey, I kind of kept it to myself?
I think assuming your peers are in line with you as on a level like this, and we're all moving together forward, we're not. I think I realized in my journey, part of my issue was not being connected to my mother, and my mother telling me my dad was dead, and I meet him at age 27. Telling my peers that, and they were laughing at me because of my ways that brought me to that point. So I don't think it's always a group journey.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there's some things you're going to have to address. Only you can deal with a professional with that has the HIPAA. You can't. It can't be discussed. It should not be discussed until you figure it out.
Yeah.
Then you can discuss it, because laying it amongst your peers who don't understand what you're going through, it could be traumatizing. Again, it traumatized me to share with them, and then the backlash I got from them. Then I was like, you know what? This is a singular journey. You figure it all out, and then if you can discuss it, then discuss it. But the books helped to write the books, because they start from when I was a kid, getting the conversation where my ex-wife went to go buy a car, and that's how I met my dad. And then there's the conversation with my mom about, why didn't you tell me he was alive? And all that goes into the first book. But I was able to get through the book without discussing it with other people. And it just made me cry the whole time, being the singular person that's going through this journey. But it's a journey that you must go through, and you need to get to the other side. I'm not saying everybody needs to write a book. You can always burn the book. You can always delete it. But writing the book will help you to get to the points where you're seeing your whole life in front of you. And this is how it affected me. And this is how it affected me. And this is how I felt. And this is who I need to talk to. So it's kind of tough, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of journaling for that very same reason, to kind of flush things out. But Chris, for you, did you kind of go on it solo, or did you say, "Hey, I need to talk to people, even as I'm going through this,
Uh,
professional therapy journey"?
yeah. So what I will say is I got a couple things to say about that. Number one, I always have poetry, right? I always have poetry as an escape, right? As a way to out loud kind of share what I was going through. Uh, and I'll say this too. So yeah, I had that number one. Number two, I guess where I defer with Paul a little bit is as it relates to the definition of mental health. Mental health is inclusive of your emotional, psychological, and your social health, right? Your social health, that's that very important piece that I believe we leave out a lot of times. The social health is what you do, who you do it with, who you're in relationship with, right? That social health piece is connected to your community, right? Oftentimes, to Paul's point, we do go on this singular journey and we do it on our own. But what I like to offer is that we don't have to and we should not do the journey on our own, right? I think it's something that we should all practice more of. Is we should all practice intentionally building our community, right? So my TED talk, my last TED talk that I did, if you and I would encourage everybody to Google Chris James TED talk, it'll come up, right? But the TED talk was called "How Everyday People Can Help Prevent Mental Health Crises," right? No, every one of us won't become a certified mental health first aider or a certified anger management specialist or a psychologist or whatever. And also, all of us probably won't go to therapy or to counseling one day. That's the reality. But what all of us will do is we all will find ourselves in relationship with someone who is struggling with their mental health, right? That's the truth. That's going to happen. So what we can do, everybody, is if you're struggling, we should identify people we love and trust in our lives, and we got to teach them what we need. When my mother died, right, my wife didn't know what to do or what to say or how to do it, right? It was up to me to find the confidence in myself to say, baby, I'm struggling today, right? It was on Mother's Day a few weeks ago. I woke up crying in the bed, right? My wife in the other room, she can attest to that. I was crying in the bed at 3 in the morning for about an hour. 30 minutes in, she woke up and I allowed her, right? I allowed her to hold me, right? I didn't get up and say, "Hey man, go on, man. I don't want you to see." No, right? I created space and allowed space for the person in my life to be there for me. And I think, especially as men, right, we have to allow the people in our lives, right, to share space with us in this healing journey, because healing is only heavy when we attempt to carry it on our own. But again, we got to be intentional about that. So that's what I give to that. Again, it doesn't have to be alone. Certain parts of it, yes, it will be alone. Certain parts of the healing journey will be alone and does have to be alone, right? But it doesn't have to be, right? In totality, right? You can take your best friend or your wife or anybody to that therapy session with you, right? That first one, like this is awkward. Go together, right? Let somebody hold your hand. So that's what I give to that.
I love it. And Paul, were you going to add to that?
I was going to say that in the beginning, you have to know your circle. See, I didn't know where my friends were. So the idea, I understand what you're saying. I didn't know where they were. I'm happy that I'm figuring out something about myself. So I say this, you got to pick your circle that you can go on that journey with. Not everybody, as you said before, not everybody can go. I did not know these gentlemen could not go.
Yes,
but that again, it was traumatizing to share something that I know they didn't know nothing about. So if you got groups, there's the purposeful groups for healing, then that's what you need to be belong to, not just the circle you've been dancing in for a long time, because they may not want to grow, they may not see it's the time to grow, and they may not truly understand your past. So Chris is absolutely right. But when you decide this, you got to get the right people to be on that bus with. If not, I tell you, it was a hard day to swallow. To hear I thought who were my friends to say what they said to me. So you got to be You got to prepare this whole plate for it to be eaten.
You know what? I mean, I think, Paul, that you said that, and Chris, the importance of community and the right community, because there are people, and it doesn't even matter the length of time you've been friends with. Sometimes we assume, oh, I've known this person for 20 years, they're going to be that support person for me. And then we realize they're not, yes, they're my friend, but they're not the group that's going to help me on this particular journey. And that's okay. I've only known this person for 2 years, but yet this is who God has placed in my life to help support me in this time. And so community, what the Atlanta Black Chambers really attempts to do is help you build your community. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of members in this organization where you can find the people, the groups that are going to help you along your business, your personal journey. So please, I can't say this enough, get involved, meet people, connect with people, because this could be the community that you didn't know you needed. All right, so I want to change spaces because I love how both of you all have really used a creative outlet for, even dealing with your own mental health, right? And so we do have a lot of creators out there who say, yes, I'm a spoken word artist and I do it, on the side, or yes, I do photography and I do it on the side, but I really haven't monetized it enough to turn it into a business, right? So it's good. And people are like, hey, come do my this for free. And you're like, wait, okay. And you're just happy to get out there. But there's a business aspect to it. So how did you monetize? How did you kind of learn or go on that journey to monetize your creativity to make it as a business? So who wants to kick this off? Chris, I'm gonna have you kick that off first. Then I'll go to
I'll definitely kick that off. For me, it was a few things. Number one, again, I alluded to it earlier. Is again, we have to, when we have this business, right, or this product or this service that we offer, we have to be very clear who it is for, right, and how it benefits them, right. And for me, very early on, I was clear about why people needed what I had to give, right? I was always very clear about that. I'm still very clear about that, right? Even in my transition, right, into the mental health space, I'm very clear about who needs me, why they need it, right? How I can give it to them, right? So I think number one is that we have to be very clear, right? I always tell people, like when I'm doing one-on-one sessions with you on how to grow your business, right? I tell people, man, I want you, when you approach this world of business, right? Your marketing, whatever, or expressing what it is that you do, just think, I want you to think to yourself that everybody is dumb, right? Nobody knows anything about what you got going, right? So you need to break it down and make it very simple and digestible for people. That's number one, right? Then number two, for me, what helped me to monetize what I do is I had to realize where the money was, right? I mean, if I'm being honest, like realize where the money is, right? Like for me, like, yeah, it's cool. Like it's cool if 10 people from here buy this book today, right? Go to the chrisjamesjourney.com.
Right.
That's cool. But what really changed my life was when I realized that that I had to write for a specific audience. I wrote a children's book called Joe Got Flow, and it taught about figurative language and poetry skills, right? And I wrote it for fifth grade students, right? And I knew that's what the school system was teaching in the fifth grade, right? So I was very clear about where the money was when I wrote the book, right? So when I wrote the book and I published the book, I sold thousands of copies to schools across the country, right? So for me, again, when you create these business ideas as creatives, you have to think about where the money is, so you're not, hustling for $100 deals every day or $500 deals once a week, right? But how can you, again, being very transparent. Again, I did a gig last month where, again, I wrote a stage play for the state of Arkansas and made almost $3,000 to write a play that took me 5 days to write, right? But how can we go after the money? how can we offer our services to larger clients, right? And we can still depend on the one book sales. That's nice. Those are good when you go set up at a book festival or go to a VIN somewhere. Like all these things are cool, right? Like I work with a client now. So if anybody needs mental health coaching or anger management courses, holler at me, right? But how can I provide that service to an entire school district, right? Again, my program, Black Boys Better. Again, this year we were able to work with over 300 plus students across the state of Georgia and within 5 school districts across the state of Georgia, right? So that's the goal. How can we work with bigger audiences, right, that have bigger budgets for our services? But we got to be ready to give everything. Paul spoke about having a cage number, right? You need to have your E-Verify. You need to be able to, when the state says, hey, I got $100,000 for you, you got to be able to have all your stuff in order, right?
Yes.
So you could be a state vendor or a federal vendor, right? So all those things matter, especially if you offer a creative service.
Yeah. I love that. And Paul, I'm going to go to you. Before I do that, though, some things I want to pull out from Chris is getting clear on who you're marketing to, who's your target, and what you offer. You know, as we say, the confused buyer doesn't buy. And so having that clarity, but you said something that I'm going to write down. I think we all need to know is, where is the money, right? So it's good to have the thing to sell, the book to sell. But man, if you can multiply that, that's how you make, really like, okay, now I'm doing this full time versus I got to do the part-time and the this and the this and the this. It's that bigger, those dollars. So Paul, what about you? How do creatives really turn their passion and monetize it? How have you done that?
Let's take what Chris said. Let's add time value. When I started in photography, I'd go take pictures, but it would take me hours after I got home to process and edit the photos. And I was like, man, the little money I was getting for that, I'm not getting paid for these hours. So then I started studying, what does it take to be a photographer? When you look at profit margin, the average profit margin for McDonald's is less than 15%. But a lot of people go, right? The profit margin for a photographer is 85%. Profit margin. So for every time I go out there, after my initial investment of being a photographer, buying my camera and my lights and things like that, I'm cleaning up. Now, I need to know my value. So then you have to research the market for all the photographers in the areas. What are Atlanta photographers making? Then you leverage your skill level against that. So you ain't going to be at the bottom of the totem pole, right? Now, this comes to preparation, like the cage number, my LLC. You have to put yourself in a position people can't tell you no. Well, you don't have this, you don't have that. One of the biggest things I've been pushing since I got to ABC is I need my veteran certification. Because what did they say? When the federal money comes out, you have to have these certifications. If you ain't got these certifications, you can't even apply. So I need that to get that money. So thing is getting the cage number, SAMs, and all those things. It's all the preparation that you do. So when success shows up, opportunities are looking for those who are prepared.
Yeah.
And when you're not prepared, you miss the boat. And now you're complaining. But I don't even know what I'm going to do with this cage number. But I heard in conversation, if you want government contracts, I didn't have any government contracts in mind. I was like, so when it comes, it's going to happen. So I joined the Atlanta Veterans Chamber of Commerce, Troy Cobb over there, and those guys. I want to know the information that's coming across so I can get those $32,000 to do 300 headshots. $32,000 to do 300 headshots. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And to travel so if you're thinking small, you're going to get small. When I want to be the best headshot photographer here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I accidentally, in my looking forward, I got Rashawn Ali's photo, and it's on the cover of a magazine in my first 6 months.
That's awesome.
I wasn't even looking. I didn't even know who she was. I wasn't even looking at that level. I was like, how I'm going to get all the way up there, and I got to do all the way up there stuff, And that's why, Chris, when you seen me, I show up with a TV and a laptop, and you know what I'm saying? Because I did the research. That's what the pros do. That's what the people who get $800 for three photos do. So if you don't prepare yourself to be at that level, you'll never get at that level. And it's not this lower level that you're at. This is just the beginning level, and you're constantly leaning forward. So that's what led me to ABC's bigger and better contracts. I'm looking at Forbes 100 companies I want to work for, you know, but it all started back with how much time was I given to this photography thing, and what is the return on investment in the photography thing. And I was like, there's money out there, and I need to be in that lane.
I love it. And that is how we need to operate. And I love how both of you all are like operating for excellence at the next level. Like this, okay, but you got to think ahead. You got to be prepared for when those opportunities come, because when they come is not the time to get prepared. So Great nuggets here. I want to close out. I want to do two things to close us out. So we may go 2 minutes over, but that's okay. Because I tell you, I don't know about you, but if you have not been inspired or learned something new, you need to watch this again, because these men are dropping nuggets and gems, not only informational for your business, but just inspirational for your own mental and emotional health. So question, because I want to celebrate you. I want you to think of your most proud or your proudest accomplishment, so we can celebrate you. What are you most proud of that you've accomplished so far in business or life? Who wants to kick us off?
Okay.
Kick us off, Paul. What are you proud of so we can celebrate?
All right. Completing 15 books when I never thought I was going to be a writer. I've always wanted to be a Marine, a dad, a truck driver, and a photographer. Never wanted to be a writer. And to see my books in Walmart, Target, Books A Million, Barnes and Noble, Goodreads, Amazon, people recognizing me when they speak, that was it for the work that I put in. And I didn't know it was going to lead to greater things, but just to make it to that point, because I sat on those books for a couple of years, and the ping and the ding was, I contacted a friend to see what she was doing with her life, and she says, I publish books. And I was like, but I sat on them for 3 years, and then I ran into the right person. So I would say that was it for that moment. But now that I met Chris, I can see what's going to happen next. You see, that's how it works. I already see how it's going to work. It's just ping pong effect. I'm just going to keep going. And I think that was to that date was that.
Yeah. And Black people, this is me, right? And make sure I get a cut of that, because I'm the one who scheduled y'all to be together. So Black people, never let you have your moment to shine. Let me have a little bit of that because I set it up. But I truly think that's the power hours and the connections, how the synergies just organically happen. So I'm excited to hear that. So Chris, what are you most proud of?
Man, when you first asked the question, I started thinking about all the things that I've accomplished, right? Which are a lot of things, but I'll just leave with one thing. The thing that I'm most proud of about my journey, right, is that I have arrived to the healthiest version of myself, right? I mean, literally, which is why I'm able to be now in the happiest, healthy relationship I've ever been in. Shout out to my wife, Christy James. And that right there is everything for me. I have zero complaints about my life, but I would argue, not even argue, but what I would bring to that is, that most of that is connected to, again, me arriving to my happiest and, well, first off, my healthiest self, right? I mean, when I say healthy, I'm healthy mentally, I'm healthy emotionally, I'm healthy physically, I'm healthy spiritually, right? And because of all of that, I'm healthy in all the ways, right? I can show up for my son, who keep coming in here right now trying to ask for stuff, and my daughter's down the hallway, and the newborn, and my 4-month newborn in there, and my wife. I'm able to show up in a healthy way. Again, for my brother who's coming home in 3 weeks, and we just built a tiny house for him on our land. Like, I've arrived to my healthiest self, and now I'm able to show up for everybody around me and give them maximum output, right? Because of that. So that's what I'm most proud of.
I love it. I love it. And just kudos to you for being in that space. And it's just remembering the value, like when you are at your best, you can give and support people. And so kudos to you and this magic that you guys have created. So I'm going to give you an opportunity for closing remarks. But again, if you enjoyed their information, their contact information is in the chat. So make sure you follow up with them, reach out to them. And also just support them. And if you need referrals, I'm sure they accept those. If you want to check out their books, if you want to check out their work, please, 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 that information is in the chat. So please reach out and stay connected with them. And has this not been a powerful power hour? And we're so thankful for these two men for pouring into us. And both of them are veterans. So again, thank you both for your service on what you do. And so I'm going to give you both an opportunity for closing remarks. Again, just a nugget that you want to share and leave our audience with today. So, Paul, I'm going to kick it off to you first.
I would say you should invite me live to be with your women's league so we can get those headshots for all your people.
You know what? Say less. Now we got to be. We roll deep.
Yes, I know. Hey, I would say is we're all on the same lanes to get to the destination of happiness and healthiness. But we're in different lanes. We're all heading in the same direction. So not one person has got the right magical spell for you. You got to touch multiple people to do so. I'm glad I stopped doing the singular thing, but it starts with you, and then I move from that. So I think when it comes to an opportunity to add more people to your circle to help you get there, do it. Do it. And the change is going to come, and you're going to feel greater and greater and greater. And then you're going to help other people. So just know that you're a part of the problem. I mean, the solution. They have a problem. You're part of the solution. It may be one kind word at a bus stop, but you're a part of it. So that's the greatest gem I can give.
Powerful gem.
Yes.
And so thank you so much for that, Paul. So Chris, turn it over to you next. Closing remarks for us.
Yeah, so I'll say this. I'm gonna give you a little bit of this. So I spoke about it earlier. Make it very clear about why people need you, how they can use your services. Right? July is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Book me for those reasons in your space, right? So we can engage people on those topics. Book me as your keynote or spoken word artist, and I'll end with this. You got a lot to smile for, you got a lot to live for, you got a lot to do, so you can't give up now. You got a lot to smile for, you got a lot to live for, you got a lot to do, so you can't give up now. And this is for all the humans who ever had the nerve to question their own existence. I want you to know that God called me and he told me to tell you that he designed you imperfect on purpose. There is nothing in your mirror you should question. Your flaws are beautiful, accept them. Don't listen to what them naysayers be telling you ain't buying what they selling, because what you already got is a top quality, unbuyable commodity. We'll stop there. Amen and hallelujah. You got a lot to smile for. You got a lot to do. So don't give up now. Keep pushing. And we all go win, y'all, and arrive to our happiest and our healthiest selves. Thank y'all.
Okay, so now I got to come after that. Was that not powerful? Put some love in the chat for Chris. I was like, you could have just been the whole hour. That was powerful and awesome. But really, this conversation was powerful. Both of you all had insights and nuggets that I hope everyone really just grabbed hold of. And the good thing is this will stay on our Facebook page. So if you need to tune in later and kind of refresh on some things that you've heard today, it will be available for you. So again, Michelle Glover, I was just so privileged and blessed to host this month of our Power Hour for Men's Month. But don't worry, next month, Keisha Cranen will be back to host us in July. So the last quick note I'll leave you with is Women's League. We are having a social July the 17th. That information and the registration link will be next week. But let me tell you, save the date because it will sell out. It will be a women in jazz night out. Wednesday, July 17th, we'll have jazz, we'll have connection. We're going to have a whiskey tasting by our very own TK Burton of her Red Hazel. So it is going to be an awesome event. And we're so excited that Henry Caslin, so yes, one of our Black male members, helped pull that together for us. And so we're so thankful for him and his support. So stay tuned, July 17th for our Women's League Summer Social. So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into our Power Hour. Again, Michelle Glover, Chair of the Women's League of the Atlanta Black Chambers, and hope to see you next month for our Power Hour, the third Friday at 12 o'clock. With that being said, bye everyone.
Hey, Chris, real quick, what's your number?
Chris,
501-366-3793.
501
366-3793.
All right, you got time today?
Yeah, call me about an hour. I need to grab a baby because my wife's about to go. But
Understand,
an hour.
Dad.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
All right. Good show, guys.